Eli and Tabor Hemming, welcome to your first UTMB week. How are you guys feeling ahead of OCC on Thursday?
Feeling pretty good so far. I mean, the chaos in the valley is just starting. Like, we've been here for Mont Blanc Marathon, but this is the first time for UTMB week. And it's just starting to get crazy. And this is way more people than I've ever seen here.
Tabor,
Yeah.
first impressions?
First impressions, it's really cool that this many people are into trail running. Like, I don't know. The US, you see it, but here you're like, oh, people know what my sport is. This is kind of sick.
Yeah, it is wild. And it's only Monday right now as we're recording. So just wait, by Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, you guys will be on the race course on Thursday, but town will be absolutely pumping all week. And we're so excited that you guys are here for the first time. Maybe start there. I mean, it seems like this is, like the dawn of maybe a new era in some ways. Like, at least you guys are branching out into new distances this year after racing mostly in the Sub-Ultra and Golden Trail World Series circuits. OCC seems like it's been the major target for you both all year. Talk about the decision that went into sort of making this pivot.
Kind of our philosophy going into any races, right? Like, it was always, let's go to the most competitive races we can, get our teeth kicked in, see what happens. And so that's why we keep signing up for the most competition we can find. Yeah. And we were watching last year, like, I guess that's where the competition is.
We had FOMO last year, to be fair. We were like, oh, there's all this hype about UTMB week. And we're like, we don't need that in our life. Yeah. And then, like, we were sitting home and we're like,
everyone's there.
Everyone's there, and that looks really cool. But we decided to make the pivot this year because we had done like 2 years of Golden Trail, and it was awesome. We had like the best of times, but we kind of wanted to see what else we'd like. Mm-hmm. And then if we like the long stuff, keep playing with it. But if we didn't, we have the option to go back. And we didn't want to wait until like we were already through most of our careers to be like, oh, I'll move up. Yeah. So this is kind of like the testing year of like, do we like the long stuff?
So do you like the long stuff?
I enjoy the long stuff.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
We may have a different answer on Friday. But,
Friday I could be like, ultras are stupid.
Yeah. Say more about this philosophy of like going to the most competitive races and getting your teeth kicked in, because that is such a great way to develop and improve as an athlete. But I don't think everybody takes that approach. And I think maybe there's a valuable insight there.
I mean, it's just running at the end of the day. Yeah. And you can't get your feelings hurt by having somebody be better than you. Like, honestly, I think that's kind of the growth mindset that we have with it is I hope to find people that are so much better than me just so that I can continue to grow and continue to get better. You don't know what the best is until you start to see it. Like, watch Remy run up a hill. Yeah, you see it. It's different.
Yeah, and when you see it up close, maybe
it's different.
It gives you a different understanding of where you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, like, growing up, I grew up in a very small town, like maybe 1,500 people, and my parents always said, like, don't just be like all Kremmling, and then it was like, don't just be all our county that we grew up in is Grand County, and so like. I think they instilled that in me a little bit, and I don't know if that was like kind of how you feel coming from a small town too, but like it's always go test what else is out there and don't just think like you're the shit like at the end of the day. So I don't know, that's how I've kind of viewed it is I kind of want to know, I don't want to lie to myself and be like, I am so good. And then I come over and I'm like, oh wow, that downhill needs some work, Tabor.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was good at uphill running until I went to Sears and all that first year, and I was like, wow. I am not that great. I'm in the pack, but I'm not great.
So, but is there some way in which seeing that up close and having that understanding, it helps you rise to that next level?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see that in sports a lot. Like, think about Roger Bannister in the 4-minute mile. Yeah. You don't know you can do it until you do it, and then like as soon as that first person crosses that line, and so. We're kind of just trying to get the fast track to that, and then once we get up to that top level, maybe we can start breaking some records ourselves.
Yeah, or maybe you'll just keep going longer.
Maybe
200s for Eli. We were just talking about that downstairs. Look out, Cocodona 2025. No, just kidding. But you guys do race a lot, and so let's talk about the seasons a little bit, because you do race at a volume that I would say most people don't. I would say you probably have raced more than rest of the favorites in OCC. So you obviously use racing in a way to build confidence. Obviously, sometimes, it goes spectacularly. Sometimes you get your teeth kicked in, but you guys have had really solid starts to the season. Everything's pointed towards OCC. So before we talk about it and some specific stuff, talk about in general that the volume of racing and the philosophy around that.
Yeah, where we live, there's not many things to compare yourself to. We have some test climbs.
We have some FKTs.
Some random FKTs nearby, but I think the best place to actually see how training is going and be as honest with yourself as you can be is in a race. Go show up and see where the training is. Sometimes it's not exactly where you need it to be, and sometimes it's doing great.
Yeah, and it's also like our social outlet, like where we live. Like, I don't think people understand to the degree that we literally run with no one else. We have one other trail runner in all of our county.
It's like 45 minutes away.
45 minutes away. So a lot of times when we race, it's just to like get that social part, and like it's fun for us. I think it's not a stressful thing for us to race. It's very much this happy, positive environment that we don't feel a lot of angst or nervousness around. And so we have a lot of positive associations with racing, so it's not very hard for someone to convince us to do a race. And you say like we've raced a lot so far, and honestly I laugh at that because we felt like we did pretty good with not doing a lot of races this year.
Really? At the beginning of the year we were like, all right, we're going to be smart this year.
We're going to behave.
We are going to behave. We're not going to say yes to every single race we want to. We're going to make a schedule at the beginning of the year and stick to it.
Until after OCC. Then we can go ham.
Well, so all right, let's talk about some specifics. So maybe Eli, starting with you. You started at Black Canyon 60K, then you came to our race, the Big Alta 50K. You did the VK and 23K at Broken Arrow. You did the Desert Rats half marathon also.
GoPro Games.
GoPro Games. So there's quite a volume of racing there. And I mean, for the most part, it's been a spectacular start to the year. But you also haven't raced since Broken Arrow. So maybe this goes to what you were saying about like having a, mature restraint for not racing too much. I mean, first of all, maybe it's to say how you're feeling about your season so far. I mean, is it accurate, my characterization, that it's been great? And also, like why you haven't raced since June?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the season, I couldn't have been happier with how it's been going. I was on the streak of second places for the last 2 years, and it is finally good to have a few wins. But I think more than anything, it's shown me kind of the longer I've been going, the better I've been getting. And so I think I kind of want to see the extent of that to a point. But I think it's just been an awesome year. And like since June, we've just said, okay, this next block, this race is different than most of the things we've been doing. We've been racing a lot in the US. So we want to focus on getting as similar training as we can, as like to the course as we can stick. But we just wanted to make sure that we got in the proper training without doing too many rests and too many races to
or travels
push us over the board.
So basically more of a focused block just to train, and that's how you're going to build confidence, not necessarily going and getting your teeth kicked in or whatever. You've been doing a lot of teeth kicking in. So have you, Tabor. You've had an awesome...
I'm just trying to keep up.
I mean, you're no slouch. I mean, you're also going to be one of the favorites going into OCC this weekend. So I mean, for those who aren't familiar, again, you did like a half marathon in the spring, did the Big Alta, you also did the VK and 28K. And you were 8th and 3rd, so you were 8th and 2nd, right, Eli?
Yeah, we'll just forget about the VK.
5th and 2nd.
5th and 2nd.
5th, I think.
So either way, you guys had solid Broken Arrow weekends again. And then you jumped into one little tune-up in Aspen. So talk in general about how you're feeling about your season so far and how it set you up for OCC.
Yeah, I think looking at the season, it was very strategic in what we did like in the winter to then in the spring to now. So we decided, like for me specifically, to do more of a speed block and work on that like running economy. So that's why you saw like the shorter races coming at the start. Like I did a road half marathon, Big Alta, just kind of working on getting good at running. And then as we progressed into the spring, it was like, okay, get good at like the technicality of trails. Like it's hard for us to do that in the winter where we live. And so that's why the speed block was like pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, once, just like Eli said, once we got after Broken Arrow, it was all about getting race specific. Like I don't think we've ever trained specifically for one certain race. And so we took that time between Broken Arrow to now to like learn how to do long climbs, learn how to put like big hours on our legs that we definitely aren't used to, and like actually do like proper long runs.
Yeah.
It used to be like, oh, 2.5 hours. It's pretty long. And then Eli's dragging me along on these like 5-hour days.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is really long. And yeah, and I think like behind the scenes, my buildup didn't go absolutely how I wanted it. Like I had a bulging disc that was pretty shitty for like most of this lead up from Broken Arrow to now.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, I don't recommend getting a bulge disc, by the way.
Yeah.
I think stress fracture would have been way better because you know like when it's going to end. They're like 6 weeks, you're good. Here it's like, it varies.
Yeah. So it's your back that's bothering you?
Yeah, it was my L5 in my low back. I just bulged it out. And so I think in the end of the day, it was actually really good because it found a lot of weaknesses.
Huh.
You're like, oh, you're not engaging your core. These are the exercises for you. But yeah, that's kind of how the season's built up to this one. Yeah. Is we were like speed, short and technical, long and specific. Yeah.
Very, very enlightening. I'm sure people will appreciate that. Maybe add a little bit more detail on the training stuff. Is it being specific for OCC? What does that mean? Like you said, Eli's taking you on longer runs, looking for steeper hills. Because you guys haven't spent hardly any time on the OCC course proper. No. So how are you simulating that at home?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is finding long enough climbs. In Colorado, like we have those long, steady climbs. Like we can do climbs that last 15 miles if you want, but you'll only get a few thousand feet. Yeah. So we've been scouring our map, trying to find climbs that are...
It don't then end at 14,000 feet?
Yeah. Right, yeah.
We did a couple they still of those.
Do. Yeah, if you're trying to do a climb with 1,000 meters of climbing, you're going to end up pretty close to 14,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
But like we learned from when we were here at Mont Blanc, we learned how runnable everything is here. And I think a lot of the climbs that we find in Colorado, if you're wanting that elevation gain that's consistent, you get up to 13 to 14,000 feet. And it's not really running at that point. You're hiking. And so I think that was another thing we were really trying to make sure of is here, it's at least OCC, it's very much a running course. It's not the hiking specific that I think you need for something like CCC, obviously UTMB. And so in training, we were teaching ourselves how to run fast on climbs because...
With tired legs.
So that's been the core of the training is...
Yeah.
Yep. I think the long run was probably the most important part of our training this year because we would do like a big week and then we put our long runs to Sundays. Usually they were like on a Saturday, but we would do a workout on a Saturday and then long run on Sunday. So we were teaching ourselves how to run well on tired legs.
So this will be the longest race by time ever for both you guys.
This will be the longest I've ever ran time or distance-wise in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to ultra running, Tabor
So
Hemming. The other race that I forgot to mention is you guys both smashed it at Canyons 50K earlier this year.
I also forgot about it.
Yeah, we forgot about that one too.
God, you guys
It was
race a
while
lot. Yeah, man, I got like a tempo, VO2 max heart rate when I was looking at your guys' Stravas and race results.
And we did Joshua Tree FKT in January.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
That was just to get out of the snow.
One thing I was curious about is like, coming from the Golden Trail World Series, like when you're racing VK to 30K type stuff, my guess is it really helps you develop racing skills, racing instincts in a way that typically hasn't been as, important in ultra running. Now that's changing, right? In OCC this week, it won't be unusual. I'm sure you're both expecting there to be like packed late in the race. So talk about that, like developing the racing skills, and like if you feel like that's a strength based on the fact that you guys are coming from that type of racing where there's always somebody in your eyesight in, you know, the Golden Trail type events.
Yeah, I do think that's partially why we do race so much, is because we do think that's a super important key, is to, if you don't have to think about it and you're just following your gut and you know what's right, that's when you make the best decisions and like not wasting mental energy doing that. But you only learn that through a lot of racing. You learn when that's a right and wrong move.
Really focusing on that adaptive unconscious. Yeah, I think Golden Trail has helped, like, I want to say you are trusting your moves more, because in those races you have to make the moves to be in the race. And so you can learn, oh, if I do this move now, can I stick it? And by doing a lot of that, you're able to learn the levels of being uncomfortable and whether or not you can continue being that uncomfortable. And so it's nice then to bring those tactics to longer races, knowing, okay, I don't have to run as hard, and yet I can still make moves like I would in a shorter race, and possibly break some souls in the process.
Break some souls. Have you guys solicited any advice? Like I said, this is your first time at UTMB proper. You did the Mont Blanc Marathon a couple of years ago, but most of the course will be unfamiliar, right? Have you guys spoken to, you know, your Adidas teammates or other people who've done the race? Any valuable insights as to how to be successful on debut at OCC?
Yeah, Tony McCann and Danny Marino have been super helpful, because at least for Danny, she's done it at least twice. And then Tony,
she's done this exact
course.
course.
And she's done this exact course, because last year it was slightly different, slightly shorter, because the rock fall. So they have been like invaluable resources, saying like where people make moves, how a race seems to evolve naturally on this course, and then like the cruxes, things to look out for. Because when you go in blind, you're like, well, how steep is that climb? Like Strava only can tell you so much. And they can be like, yeah, that descent is super rocky. Or, so we've taken a lot from them. We did a big sit down at Broken Arrow in Western, and they kind of helped us out. So
What are the cruxes?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Hold the bomb.
Yeah.
Hold the bomb. You got to be in contact when you start that last climb.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know what other cruxes there'd be, but
No, I think the race is really made on that cold bomb climb.
Yeah.
I think that's
Especially
you
if
can make or
it's-
break your course or your race there so easily.
especially if it's the long way, like it was 2 years ago,
Yeah, and
because it's a
that's the
6 mile
plan.
climb. So, you know.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Tony, who's moving up after being a OCC champion last year to CCC, and we were just talking about like the mindset difference and how you can see it one of two ways, either feeling inexperienced and intimidated by this new distance. You guys have done 50K, but this will be the longest race of your career, and it is a totally different experience doing OCC versus the Big Alta. And on the other hand, you know, like it is coming at something with fresh eyes and like a beginner's mindset, and oftentimes that opens up new potential. How are you guys thinking about that? Where do you see yourselves on that spectrum?
I would say I'm trying not to think of it as 34 miles and 11,000 feet of gain. I'm more trying to think of it as a 25-mile race, because I kind of feel like the climb up to La Fougère and back down doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Because like no one there is going to feel good.
Yeah.
And so like in training, I know that I've been able to make it 25 miles, like pretty uncomfortable. So I'm kind of just thinking about it like that and being like, you know, I can make 25, and then whatever happens that last 10, chips may fall wherever they are. How are you
Eli?
thinking about it?
I mean, I guess I'm not thinking too deeply into the like exact bits. I think I'm just coming at it with like kind of how I approach every race of like, okay, this is my plan, and I'm going to try to stick with this. And I'm going to try to race the race, and let's hope the body holds out.
Just race the race. You know? Race the race. Are you guys allowed to have crew at OCC?
No.
No crew. Okay.
Carrying
Well,
all your goodies for that long.
Yeah. I've been asking people who's crewing for them and why, but that's irrelevant in this case. And the fact of the matter is that you guys basically are each other's crew, even though you'll be on the race course at the same time. I'm sure you'll both be
I'll be thinking
feeding
of
off the
Eli.
energy.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be like, I hope he's already finished by the time I get to Lafayette.
Yeah, like if I see Eli, it's probably not a,
If I see Eli,
not a
he's,
good day for.
if I see Eli, he's running home.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. Well, congratulations on an awesome season so far. Obviously, this is the major goal of the year. And speaking for myself, I'm so excited to see the Hemmings here at UTMB for the first time. OCC to start, and then we know Tabor's going to be doing PTL one day,
Eli said he was reading the description of PTL, and he's like, at the end, it says like, builds teamwork and inspiration between each other. And I was like, yeah, and it probably build a divorce too.
Destroys friendships and marriages. Save that for a few years.
Yeah.
We will.
Hey guys, good luck. Thank you so much for taking the time. Can't wait to see you race this week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.